Perfect. Alrighty. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Monday night Pink Power team call. I'm Jackie Hastings. I'm an Emerald Ambassador, and I am joined tonight by my friend Beverly Reynolds, who is really working hard. She's senior gold, but we're going to hear announcements here pretty soon. And tonight we're here to talk to you about how you can succeed and make career changes when your why is strong enough and fitting it into a busy life. So just a little background on, I'm going to start with me. I am a physical therapist. I have a husband and 2 kids, one who has a really hard time with school. And we live kind of on a farm here in the UP. And I was working full time almost, and trying to figure out how to fit this all in. And with all of the crazy COVIDness and having to be home from work, realizing how much being home really made such a big difference for my family, and not wanting to lose that. So making some big decisions and making it happen. And I am joined by my lovely friend Beverly, who is in constant motion because her child is strapped to her back. So one of the biggest things that we hear people say all the time is, I don't have time for this. I have kids. I'm working. I can't do this. Well, constant motion friend of mine says you can. So I'd like to introduce her to start off with. She is a homeschooling mom of 4, one who has an extra hard time with school. She also has a husband who was working at the jail, and as you all can imagine, that's not the world's best place for a daddy to be working. And she has been working hard to get him out of there, make some big changes for their family, and I can't be more proud of her. So let me introduce her, and I will kind of let her take the wheels here a little bit.
Hi, thank you so much, Jackie, and thanks for asking me on. I am really excited to share with you tonight because this is something that was hard for me to learn. So if you can learn from my taking a long time to learn this, I hope it helps. I think it all boils down to your why and making sure that the reason you're doing this is big enough, because if your why is big enough, you'll do anything. Sometimes you pick your why, it's a Lexus or a trip to Hawaii or something fun. And sometimes your why chooses you, like your husband coming home and saying, I can't work here anymore. So I'm going back to school to become a teacher, and that's going to take about 2 years of part-time income. And that's okay, because I now had a plan A instead of what I had always viewed as a plan B. And I'm very happy that we were in a position that we were in where I was already supplementing his income, and we could just make that step out in faith, and we didn't have to be terrified. I think a lot of people get overwhelmed. I know I do, with the business aspect of stuff when you're already busy, and it can be really hard to figure out what to do next. And something that I had to learn was done is better than perfect. So, and that was so hard for me. I always wanted to have these huge time blocks where I could sit down and think and form these perfect messages. But people don't need perfect messages. They're not reading them for grammar and proper sentence structure. They're reading them because you thought of them and you love them. So always remember that no matter what, as long as you're leading with your heart, you're leading to the right place. My why was kind of thrust upon me in that way, and I am very grateful because it's made me step outside my comfort zone and do things I wouldn't normally volunteer to do. But Jackie also had a change in why, and it's really been fascinating. She's always been so good at casting vision and supporting people. And now she's getting super awesome at holding the bar high and saying, okay, we're going to do this next. And it's so exciting to watch her evolve as a leader in that way. So Jackie, I want you to tell us next what changed for you. What was the difference that happened, and what made you step over that line?
Well, part of it for me was I always tease I'm a yellow green, and I will love somebody to death. And it is really, really a struggle for me to make somebody do something. I mean, we can't make somebody do something, but to hold somebody accountable. And I always wanted to hold their hand and do and do and do for them. And then I started realizing that instead of empowering people, I was actually stripping them of power. And I never would have realized that if I hadn't gotten my hind end on team calls and actually done the personal growth and read these books. So getting on those team calls and learning about those things. And John Maxwell, man, his books are killer about empowering leaders. And for me, realizing what I was doing was actually hurting people, it really made me feel badly. And I realized that me doing that hindered the growth in a lot of my people. I was hurting my friend Beverly. I was hurting other people. And that is definitely something I would never wanted to do. So for me to say, okay, well, you want to do this, I need your goal. You need to tell me what you want to do, and you're going to have a plan to do it. And if you're not going to do that, we need to revamp. We need to go from there. And that for me was a big changing point. Now I say, okay, well, what are you going to do? Okay, well, how are you going to do that? And then, you know, down the line, it's really easy to help those friends that way. And if I kept showing Beverly helping, and not making people do, she's teaching her people down the line that, which makes it really hard to duplicate, because you dig yourself one big hole, because you can't be everything for everybody all the time. And telling her and showing her how to do those things, and other people on my team, was huge. So now she's actually empowering people on her team that way as well. So she is a secret red, and it's challenging for me to understand how to lead that way. So what tips would you say, Beverly, that, or what have you found that's been most difficult that way for you helping your people?
I think I don't like making people uncomfortable. I really struggle with when people tell me, well, I'm not really comfortable with that. I don't really want to send that message. I don't really want to, instead of, my knee-jerk reaction is to say, okay, we'll do this instead. And that's not helpful. That's not helpful for me. That's not empowering for them. I'm not doing anything to help them. And so I feel like it's so important to just empower people and encourage them. And then you can tell them what a great job they did. I mean, always pile on the praise, right? It's the hamburger method, right? You tell them a compliment, and then you say, now we're going to do this and it's going to be great. And then you tell them another compliment. Like, you just make sure that you're always encouraging them to grow. But I really think it's so important to go back to asking them what their goals are. You don't have the right to lead somebody across the river if they told you they wanted to go into the woods. Like, that's not the right thing. Leaders don't have the right to lead. They have the privilege to lead people where they want to go. And you can't just bring somebody into the woods or over the river, or they have to tell you first. So it's so important to be able to set goals, attainable goals, written goals. And again, always goes back to your attitude and your why, right? Anybody can do this. You can do it in spite of all the struggles that go on in your life, or you can do it because. And I would rather do it because. I'm walking back and forth because I get to stay home with my kids and I didn't have to go get a job. I'm not walking back and forth with a baby on my back and doing this call in spite of my difficulties. That's a terrible attitude. And it's a complete lack of gratitude. So, and anybody can do this, and you don't have to do it full time. You can have a hobby. You can do it part-time. People will tell me, I don't really want to focus on that right now. Don't. Your income, time is money, right? So you have a specific amount of income, an undisclosed amount. God doesn't tell you when you're done. And you have a specific amount. Well, budget your income of time like you would budget your money. Obviously, you're going to spend a lot of your time making sure that you have a house and taking care of your kids and buying food, right? That's what you're going to do with a lot of your time. But a certain percentage of your income, or your time in this case, is devoted to retirement. You're investing a certain amount of your time. And that's perfect. Like, invest a little bit of your time every day, and soon you'll get the returns. And it's crazy what happens when you start to get the returns. Jackie can tell us more about that. I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's been amazing. By empowering other people and giving them the skills, that puts us into that whole time thing, right? And time is money, right? And the big thing people say is they don't have enough time and they don't have enough money, right? So those two big objections, we can empower people to overcome them by giving them time, showing them little ways. I mean, all of us spend a couple minutes in the bathroom, right? That's our hiding spot. How many of you message people from the toilet, right? Come on, we all do it. Wash your hands, wash your phone, right? But if you're doing that 3-4 times a day, 1 minute in there extra hiding to send a message, to do a post, something like that, we can all do that. It doesn't take a lot of extra time. It doesn't take a lot of extra money, but it makes us money. When I can replace a full-time PT income with this by helping people and my friends, it definitely starts to take time and grow that belief. My why became strong enough because I don't want to go back to work. I want to be able to be home with my family. I love the messages from my people saying, hey, I feel better. Oh my gosh, I never knew I could feel this good. I paid my car payment this week and I didn't have to juggle. I could fix my van. I could do this. These are all amazing things. And it doesn't take a ton of time. Then we have people who are struggling with their own belief. And for me, I was like, I can't do this. I never had that belief. And when I started seeing more and more building, and I started seeing growing, and I started seeing my leaders giving me the opportunity to lead, I was like, oh, I guess I can do this. So never forget to understand your people and to start to give them those opportunities, because then they can do it too and they feel empowered. So that goes back to understanding and knowing that person that you're signing up. We're not just signing people up. We have to know that person. If I don't understand that person, I don't understand their why, I don't understand their motives, I don't understand them, they're not going to believe me, they're not going to trust me, they're not going to allow me to lead them, and we've both failed. And that's where we get people say, well, I signed all these people up, but they quit. Okay, well, what did you know about them? Did you take the time for them? Did you put into them? You know, this is an investment system. We invest into those people, and they pay us back in returns of their time, their love, their support, their energy, and all of those things. So I think it's really important that that street goes two ways. And then that works on our retention. It does nothing for us to sign 30 people up, get $25 referral bonuses for nothing, right? I mean, you have failed our system, and that is not what we do. And then two, if you invest a little time on those people, then we can end up getting that back from them as well, and they're excited. So that helps with us not having to spend hours and hours and hours doing this. I mean, literally, you can fit this in. I get up when my husband gets up to go to work. I spend half an hour, an hour of that time messaging, following up from the night before. Then during the day, I'll do a little bit here and there. I'll do some of the calls. I do those different things, you know, and I was doing that before I quit work, right? That's something that I could do. I hop on the bike in the morning, and as I'm pedaling along, I'm doing messages, or I'm doing those sorts of things, or the kids, let them have a little project to do and I can do it then. And then at night, actually put your kids to bed at night. I mean, there is a bedtime. Mom and dad do need a little time as well. A half an hour there is perfect. It doesn't take oodles and oodles of time. And let's face it, for those people that you have saying, I don't have time for this, I challenge you, depending on how well you know them, and hopefully it's well, right? To say, I want you to pull up your app meter on your phone, and I want you to show me a screenshot of how much time you spent on those apps on your phone today. I bet you there's a lot of time that we could pull a few minutes to make you some money and help some people. So I think that those are really important opportunities to be able to help people. Beverly, with your kids with homeschooling, where did you find different times and opportunities to fit this in?
That's actually funny, because I always used to think I can't do this. They always talk about the nooks and crannies of your day, and I just can't multitask. That's not my strength. We're supposed to work in our strengths, and it's great to work in your strength. That's
but
really
I have to stop you for 1 second. I have to stop you there because you just said I can't. And you said
well,
I'm not.
well, that's what I used to tell myself, not anymore. I have learned not to say that, especially around you. So, so that's what I used to say. Like, that's not a good use of my time. Multitasking isn't my jam. And then I realized that, so what? The ideal situation is to work in your strengths and to take, and for me, that would be a chunk of time where I just was focused and worked on my business and helped people. But that's not my situation right now. Realistically, I have to multitask and I'm doing fine. So I think you just have to fit it in, and you have to make the decision that it's no longer an optional part of your day. For me, it always felt like self-care. Working always felt like self-care because I am red and I enjoy the business aspect of this. So for me, it was like, well, I'll do that later because I have to get this done for this person first in my home. And then it was like, this is no longer self-care. This is taking care of everyone. So it changed my perspective a lot, and that was able to help me do that. I think a big part of it though for me is I have to look a little big picture because with my kids and their needs and homeschooling and my kids and their very high needs, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get something done today. I can do my very, very best, and I can stay up till midnight, and I can get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I still might be dealing with meltdowns through that whole time. So I have to be really careful to always plan it out. I have to have a monthly system. So on the first of the month, I try to message my team and ask them, what are your goals this month? How can I help you? What can I pray for you about this month? How can I do that? Then the second of the month, I update my calendar and I go through all that. The 15th, I check for credit card issues. The 30th or the 28th, sorry, I check for credit card issues. The 30th or the 31st, whatever's the last day of the month, we're getting takeout. Like, that's how I meal plan. Like, that's just how my life works. And I have to know that. I know that I can't do doctor's appointments on the last day of the month. That's not going to work for me unless it's one of my older kids and they can go do their thing and I can sit in the waiting room and help people. Like, so there's things like that you have to figure out what works best for you and develop systems so you're not reinventing the wheel every month. And then don't be afraid to tweak the system. That's a huge thing. Like, okay, this worked, analyze, take some time and talk with your sponsor and ask them, what did you see me do well last month? What can I do? Ask for help. That's huge. The whole point of doing this together is to not do it alone. If you're having a problem and you need to get back with somebody, that's why we have three-way chats. Say, I can't do this at the moment. My kid's having a meltdown, or this kid needs a math test. Like, can you please check in with them? So always, always, always three-way chats. And I need big picture. Nooks and crannies and daily IPA is the way to go. But then I also have to see, what am I doing on this day every month? Because otherwise I get lost in the shuffle and I ride the wave. I don't want to ride the wave. I want to be in charge of the pool.
Well, and I think too, one of the things that we hear a lot of people say is, well, at nighttime, that's when I'm doing stuff with my kids or my family or whatever. And for me, especially since our kids are getting a little older, my oldest is going to be 12 next month, and my baby, she's not a baby anymore, she's 9. And then my husband, having them understand, yeah, mama's got to do a team call tonight, or mama's doing book club, but those backpacks that we got in the mail today, that's because of that. Or that bike that you got, that's because of that. So you do deals with them. I mean, it's give and take. Hey, you want to go to the park? When we could go to parks, right? Or you want to go do this? Well, we can do that because we can do this. Or if you allow mama time for this, I can do that. And I promise you that as soon as I'm done with this task, I will give you my undivided attention. And I think that that's really important to make sure that we've got our family on board so that they understand the time commitment and what it does of, okay, well, you know what? Mama can go to work all day long and be gone and not be able to be home with you. Or we can spend a little time doing this now, and then you've got a lot more time later. So I think having your family on board with that as well, and having them understand the vision too is big, which fits into Beverly's big picture thing, which goes into our why, which goes into why if you really want this enough, you will make time to do it. So I think it's really important. The other thing too, I always had difficulty asking for help. My uplines will tell you that. I kind of just floated along, and Elizabeth's over there shaking her head very stubbornly, yes. And I think me not asking for help and me kind of giving half-hearted goals to things is part of what also stunted my growth. So, and I had been doing IPA. I was always in the IPA chats, and I would do them, as my kids called it, half donkey. If you're just friending people and you don't ever follow up with any of those people, or you send out a message and you don't ever do any follow-up, you did a half donkey job with it, and you're going to get half donkey results, as we say. So I think it's really important that you actually follow up on those things, that you put a little bit of effort into it, and then you actually follow up. Because if you just send out mass messaging that has no heart in it, no love in it, no nothing, people are like, oh great, it's another one of those stupid spammers. Unfriend, block. But if you follow up and you say, hey, you know what, I saw your post about your headaches and it really made me think of you, and this I have had some wonderful success with. Have you ever heard of this? Or what if I could help you so you're not having to spend all that money on those medications that I know are giving you an upset tummy? Would you be open to hearing a little bit more? So making sure that you're not just doing a half effort with things, because if you treat it like a hobby, if you put a half effort into things that way, that's what you're going to get back out of it, and you wasted your time. You might as well have been doing something else. So Beverly, have you got any other questions or any other great tips?
Speaking of meltdowns,
they
made it longer than I thought, right? I think that was good. I think it's really important, just to reiterate what you said, the verbalizing. I think that's the difference. Like, even if you're on the same page with your spouse, your kids might not have the understanding and might not be able to make the connection between mom's on her phone and I got a new bike. They might not have the maturity to make that connection. And so it's super, super important that you verbalize that to get everybody on board. And I think dreaming with them, setting up a dream board, all that stuff. I have every intention. I have a hard time getting quiet during book club. So I've already told them that we're doing The Magic of Thinking Big as our summer read aloud. And we're all going to sit in front of the computer and be on book club together. Like, those are options too. Involve them as much as you can. I won't let them talk. Don't panic. But but like, that's super, like, that's a book that they are more than capable of listening to and getting something out of. Involve them as much as you can. My kids tell everybody about Plexus. Well, my mom has a pink drink, and so as much as you can, and then remember to talk out loud, because sometimes as a mom you get so busy and you're talking all the time, and it's pick up your shoes, put your shoes away, did you wash your hands, come to dinner, and you forget to say the important things because you're so busy saying the urgent things. So always remember to say the important things. We're helping people together as a family, because I'm messaging them and you're supporting me by putting the dishes away. You're helping them too. So I think that would be one thing, because they can't always make the connection. And when all else fails, hide in the bathroom.
Or I'm hiding in my basement right now. But it's all about, I've got to make my why big enough, because they need me. You guys, in the past 2 months, we lost our dog. I almost lost my husband. We did lose my father-in-law. I got to spend the time homeschooling my kids because the world fell apart. But for me, the world didn't fall apart. It actually came together. And it just really cemented that I love all of this. I love the support. I love the community. I love being able to help people and being there for my family. So I think probably with that, we'll wrap it up, because we want to make sure that we're aware of your time. We're here to support you. And great points, Elizabeth. Our kids need jobs too. And having all of them involved as well, because it goes just like our people that we're leading. If we are doing everything for them, we're taking their power away. And man, as much as we don't want our kids to be super strong all the time, God help us all, right? We want them to be able to take over for us when we need it. So I just want to thank you all. I want to thank Beverly. She's been an amazing friend and supporter. And I look forward to seeing you all online this weekend for convention. Have a good night.